The next speaker is Harry Wood from Humanitarian Open Street Map. Now, Harry is a programmer and also a voluntary board member of Humanitarian Open Street Map. He is not a professional humanitarian. He's not on the payroll. He's a voluntary board member. We're greatly privileged. Thank you for coming tonight, Harry.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to talk about humanitarian... Ooh, that's the wrong set of slides by the looks.
Those are right
the Humanitarian Open Street Map team.
Humanitarian Open Street Map. That would be then. That's concern. That's not. We'll get there.
Should we swap places?
The technicians are in a different room, so we need to go to the other room.
There is an Ignite format where
we should SMS them. Yeah.
Not familiar with. So, maybe we should try doing that. I'll present concern and... Oh, here we go. Right.
There we are.
Yay. There we go. Humanitarian Open Street Map team, or HOT for short. So I think the OpenStreetMap really needs a little bit of explaining in this acronym. Essentially, it's all about maps. If you go to openstreetmap.org, you'll see a map, and you can view this and pan around and zoom in and have a look at it, much like Google Maps. But OpenStreetMap is a crowdsourcing initiative, if you like. I prefer the term mass collaboration, really. It's a massive group of people on the internet coming together to collaborate and build this thing, a free and open map of the world. So we have more than 1 million registered users and tens of thousands of active users every week. And the way we attract so many users, one of the reasons we can or manage to do that is by making the process of contributing to a map, editing a map, and adding things to a map very, very simple. So this is not a fully fledged geographic information system. It's a dumbed down version of that, something that's very easy to learn. And also the data model that underlies all of this, the data that you get out of OpenStreetMap is a simplified version of a geographic information system. So the maps are made up of these nodes and ways and a very flexible system called tags, name-value pairs that you attach to these objects to describe the world. And that's how we make up a map. And the view of the map, when you make these edits, will get updated rapidly. This is important for actually for disaster response type uses. So something changes in the real world, and people can edit the map very quickly, rapid turnaround, and see the view of the map change. But OpenStreetMap is really all about raw data, actually, providing raw access to all of the data that makes up a map so that people can explore innovative new use cases of maps. In the humanitarian realm, I think probably one of the most exciting things of that is that you can take the data offline, so you can go to a place with no internet connection and you've still got a map of the whole country with you. So there's these 4 dimensions of OpenStreetMap, which actually, OpenStreetMap is designed as a way of creating an open licensed map of the world. So we're mapping everywhere. But it's turned out that those 4 dimensions are very important for humanitarian mapping. So mapping of disaster zones or mapping of the developing world, places where perhaps nobody has ever created a map before. So this was really demonstrated, again, during the Haiti disaster to great effect. And to the surprise of a lot of people, I think, people within the OpenStreetMap community saw the news and they decided to just take a look at the map of Haiti and improve it a little bit. But because there were so many people doing the same thing, it built up momentum. People started tweeting to each other about it and coordinating their mapping action. And eventually, we created a really good detailed map of Port-au-Prince and Carrefour, the only good detailed map, actually. It's free and open and available on the web, and far surpassed anything that Google Maps was offering, for example. And so what we found then was that in short order, aid agencies were starting to use OpenStreetMap. They were pinning up maps or printouts of OpenStreetMap on the walls of their coordination rooms, this sort of thing. They were taking the data to use offline while they do their search and rescue work. And of course, lots of people all over the web using it as well. So the Google Maps style of embedding things on different websites and then layering more data over the top of that. Lots of innovative things like the Ushahidi website built using OpenStreetMap as the base map. So since Haiti, we've formed the HOT, the Humanitarian Open Street Map team, and tried to replicate that with other disasters. So it hasn't always had the similar result. It turns out that every disaster is different, really. Pakistan floods was a difficult one because pretty much the whole of Pakistan from top to bottom was flooded, and such a large area that we couldn't get access to enough aerial imagery. The tsunami was an interesting one because, of course, that's a developed country, so they already have maps. But we did find that we were useful anyway because we were the only open license map that had been updated to reflect the post-disaster situation. So the HOT has been involved as well in developing software specifically for this thing of disaster response or for humanitarian mapping as well. So this thing is Task Manager, allowing people to acquire a square of the map and work on a particular area. So really guiding people and helping provide an answer to a question: where should they start with helping mapping? This was very effective recently for the Haiyan typhoon response. Lots of jobs set up in different areas, getting the community coordinated to map that. Now we can see. This is pretty typical, but this is data from the Haiyan response. So you can see a spike of activity after the earthquake happened, because that's when it's in the news. Lots of people joining in with mapping response, really following the general level of interest in a disaster in general, which you see on Google Trends, for example. I think this actually, I like to think it shows that we have a slightly longer attention span than the rest of the internet, but I'm not sure. We can break that down into new users and old timers, if you like, the people that were that already have acquired the skills and edited the map before, versus the people who had signed up to respond to this particular disaster. So that's the green line is the new users, and you can see that they're having slightly less of an impact, whereas the old timers really had a massive impact very early on after the disaster. So I think what this shows is that we need to really train people with the skills before a disaster if possible. So this is showing some outputs from the map. You can render the map in different styles. So this is a humanitarian style map, and we see the Red Cross printing out posters to take with them as they get on a plane to go and respond to the disaster. The Médecins Sans Frontières have been working with us very recently to do some development mapping. So this is in the Congo, using a system called field papers to get local people to, using a paper-based method, go and survey stuff. So writing down the names of the streets, and then in London, inputting that data. So that was a really interesting new kind of workflow that we developed recently. So that's HOT, and I think in terms of business models, in some ways OpenStreetMap is a story of an anti-business model. It's a bunch of anarchists, and it's born from the idea of creating a free and open map that is not controlled by the likes of Ordnance Survey or a corporate mapping agency, but created from the ground as a sort of a grassroots mapping effort. But with HOT, we tried to present a more kind of organized face of OpenStreetMap to interact with the NGOs on the right there, the humanitarian organizations. So we supply maps to them. And it's an interesting place to be in general. All of the people within OpenStreetMap, the million and a half people I mentioned earlier, they're spare time volunteers as well. So they're people just chipping in a little bit. We're not talking about people that work day in, day out on the maps. It's just lots and lots of people collaborating, doing their little bit. Total chaos. But then on the other hand, on the right-hand side of the diagram here, the humanitarian organizations, when you take them collectively, even though an individual organization appears well organized compared with OpenStreetMap, we found that we're kind of interacting with quite a chaotic situation as well, money flowing everywhere. So yeah, HOT is in an interesting place. In terms of a business model, I'm not sure if we have all the answers yet, but perhaps we can debate that later.